So I went to their county commissioners, Hamilton County Commissioners, right during September election time. And I said, do you know how much money will come into your town if your university does this kind of program? He didn't care. He had his iPod going and his BlackBerry going. He didn't really care. So I said, fine, I'm leaving this. I don't care. In our town, in Carver County, if you're looking at tuition dollars saved, this is important now, because everybody's on fast five, everybody's got student loans, okay? GIs don't have student loans. So that $22.7 million that would be spent on student loans with vets graduating won't. Therefore, their first paycheck stays in the town. They're not paying an out-of-state bank. They're not spending that money that they, now when they graduate, get a job and get a paycheck, they're not paying some out-of-town bank the student loan money. They're buying stuff in Cleveland to the tune of $22.7 million. Now, page 9, cost of living. This is significant. Each one of the veterans now will get about $1,000 a month just to live on, to spend on stuff while they're going to school, okay? If we let 3/4 of these vets be full-time benefits, that's 1,970 veterans, times, and I figured $950, I'll be conservative, times $950 a month, times 9 months out of the year, $16.8 million are going into this town's economy by, not by politicians, but by the best, brightest, and bravest. Individual people spending individual dollars. So add them all up, okay? Bottom of page 9, add them all up. We've got $36.5 million from freshman retention and graduation, GI grads and freshman retention from the Cleveland State University. That's going into the university now. For Cleveland and the region, $22.7 million saved by not paying an out-of-town bank student loans. $16.8 million are going into Cleveland area from cost of living allowances. Total up, if you did your math, total it up. I don't have it written there, but I'm saying it to you right now. $76 million are in the city of Cleveland if we get 5% of the region's vets on our campus. We have the best program in the nation. Now, I got 2 minutes to go. I'm going to tell you why this program works and what I'm going to ask from the city of Cleveland. This is why the program works. I just duplicated what happened 60 years ago. I didn't know it. The Greatest Generation, we all heard about it. Why were they so great? Were they good before, then became great? I mean, I don't know why. So I went to look it up. And I found that 2.2 million women and men went to college back then, 1948. 2.2 million women and men went to college. 3.5 million went to on-the-job training and apprenticeships. Another 5 million went to farms and everything else. So 2.2 million went to college campuses. Of those 2.2, 77% did not have a high school diploma. This is all sourced. Did not have a high school diploma. Half were married, 1/4 had children. They had distractions and no education. Now remember before, I told you before, that 3% of veterans who go to four-year campuses graduate? Okay? Those 2.2 million men in 1948 to 56, they went to 1,800 colleges. Average 1,200 vets per campus. Average 1,200 vets per campus. What happened was they had 30,000 in Michigan. They had 25,000 in Colorado. They swarmed the campuses. They were the campus. When they walked in the classroom, all their friends were there. All their military buddies were there in the classroom. They put up trailers on the campuses to hold them. It was amazing. Roosevelt figured 300,000 would go. That's what he figured. 2.2 million went. The graduation rate for those 2.2 million men who went to college, the graduation rate for that, 78%. How could that be? We have uneducated people with distractions. How could that be? Reason is, they're all together again. One more mission. Unit mentality took over on every campus in the country. That was my hunch. That was my thinking. I got it backed up in D.C. last week by a psychologist, Dr. Milton Greenberg. I got his book. He autographed it for me. So cool. All about the GI Bill. He wrote about it way back in 1984 and had authored many books on the subject. And I said, Dr. Greenberg, I had coffee and dinner with him for about 3 hours. He welcomed me to his house. It was tremendous. I met all his kids and his wife. It was just great. I said, here's my hunch. What I'm seeing now with my retention rates and the unit mentality working together in my classroom, did this happen in 1948? He said, absolutely. I said, would you say that in public at George Washington University's conference in October, when you open the conference and I follow you? He said, absolutely. So what we've done at CSU, what I've been allowed to do at CSU, what CSU has allowed me to do, is duplicate what has happened in 1948, the greatest generation. So I have coined the phrase for months now, this is the next great generation. 1.89 million are now going to college campuses, and if SERV takes off like I hope it does, we'll have that same kind of graduation rate. And my goal is simple. I'm just a little guy from Cleveland, okay? But my goal is simple. I want to change the country back to where it was. When we work together for the common goal, we don't fight, we're not red, we're not blue, we're not conservative, we're not liberal, we're one person in one country fighting for the same cause. These people, these 1.89 million, fought for this country. They defended me. I didn't ask them to. My goal is to help them get educated and graduated so they can change the country back to where I used to remember it. So when I'm 98 years old, my 50-year plan, when I'm 98 years old, I'll go back and say, now it's where it should be, and now I'm happy. That's my goal. And I thank CSU for helping me get to there. I thank all of you for listening today and being here. Thank you very much.
Today at the City Club of Cleveland, we're listening to a special program with John Schupp, founder and director of the Supportive Education for the Returning Veteran program housed at Cleveland State University. We will return to our speaker in a minute for our traditional City Club questions. We encourage you to formulate questions now while we break for a few announcements. Now we'd like to return to our speaker for our traditional City Club question and answer period. We welcome questions from everyone, including guests. And holding the microphone today is Ellie Sullivan in the back. She's one of the co-chairs of the Special Program Committee. And now we'll take our first question, which actually I'd like to ask, if you don't mind. It's highly irregular, but this is my favorite story. John, you mentioned that one of the keys to getting the students to be aware of and take advantage of this program is that their parents, their moms particularly, will sell it to them. Will you tell us how you got those moms at the county fairs?
One of the things...
Come by the...
It was a scary thing. It was right after I had the failure of the vet fair. It was a big time, in my opinion, a failure. So I was cutting the grass in my house. I got 7 acres to cut, and I'm thinking this isn't going to work. I can't do this, it's not going to work, and I felt like nothing was going to go right and I was going to quit. So I was cutting the grass and I started thinking, you know, county fairs are big in Ohio, and I've been to about 10 of them at the time, and I loved going to them, and, you know, I'm the funnel cake king and everything else. So I thought, well, you know, what if, I'm sure it's big to other people too, and I said, what if I gave out video cameras to families who had deployed sons and daughters overseas, gave them a video camera and had them tape the county fair, and then they gave it back to me, and I gave them a DVD with all the memories on it, and then the first minute was Cleveland State University wants you. So I had a little advertisement. It was really cheesy because I'm advertising on their memories, right? But which is kind of cheesy, but I said, I've got to reach. I said, what if I did that? Could I do that? I don't know. I don't know if I can do that or not. I didn't want to ask CSU because it would have gone to committee, and I said, I'm not going to do that. So I said, I'm just going to go out and try it. So I drove down. I found the first county fair in Circleville, Ohio. And I drove down and I called up, I called up the secretary, she's amazing, like 110 years old, I swear to God. And they're all 110 years old. And she says, oh, that sounds like a great idea, come on down. So I drove down and I met her and she goes, oh, it sounds great, let me get the paper. So I had my SERV thing and my shirt and everything else, you know. They got a picture taken, and then I left. And I went to the barber shop and to the diner because I had posters made up to think I can just put the poster in there. And the barber guy was great. I was there for an hour and a half waiting for my turn to be called. And he's like, okay, you're up next. And I get up and I said, I'm not really needing my haircut. He goes, you sure? I said, well, okay. But I have this poster that I like you to think, you know, I'm doing this thing with the fair. And he goes, where are you from? This is Circleville, Pickaway County, south of Franklin. He goes, Cleveland. Okay, put it over there in the corner, below the shelf. Okay, fine. Because I got it up there, right? But what happened was a week went by, and then I got a phone call from Cindy Rogers, who was just tremendous. And she said, you know, my name is Cindy Rogers, that's our article in the paper, and so on and so forth. You know, do you have any cameras left? Because my son Sam's over there right now. And she went on to this big, long thing. I said, sure, I got cameras left. I went out and bought one. I didn't know it was going to work.